Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Shabbat class, the 16th of March, 2024. The topic inside the room is I'm doing an update on the red heifers. Got some pretty interesting information that's surrounding that. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 900 or so, and these videos connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. For those people that are seeking the truth, okay. And like I said earlier, our operation Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, on YouTube from 7 to 9 Central Time. And then we come back on Friday nights with our men advanced Bible study, and it's on Clubhouse. It's from 7 to 9, but it's on Clubhouse. Okay, and then we have 2 Shabbat classes, one in the morning on the Sabbath from 10 to 12 a.m. Central Time. Then we come back and close out the spot at 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. The Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. They consist of us as Israelites, our laws, statutes, our judgments, and our culture, our way of life is given to us by our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. Okay. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, our evening Shabbat prayer. We'll do read the Psalms, then we go to some current events, need to know information, then we'll open it up for some Q&A, comments, dialogue, whatever direction they go in. Then we'll go into our topic, right? Like I said, I'll be shining some lights on and bringing out some information, updates on these red heifers and how they tie into a lot of things that's going on right now, globally. Okay, so this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay, oh Lord, we come before thee at this time, at the end of your Shabbat, that you have given unto us for rest. We are thankful for your knowledge and the understanding that you have given unto us up until this point. When we seek thy face on this Shabbat, that you shower us with peace, enlightenment, and a sense of togetherness. Oh Lord, we see thy hand in the affairs of the world, and we know and understand that what you have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn not thy face from us, but hearken unto our plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises to you. Okay. So with that being said, we read the Psalms. Okay. I'll read Psalms chapter 1. Okay. It's blessed are the righteous. Okay. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaves also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So that's Psalms 1. It's blessed are the righteous is the title of it. Okay. So with that being said, nobody have any comments on that? Okay, we'll go to our current events. Okay.
I made over $10 million on Amazon. If I lost it all and had to
dry staples like rice and beans, and dehydrated or freeze-dried foods. These types of food can be
one of the biggest sales ever. 30 beef sticks for just $30. Try for $1 each. 6 grams of protein.
Are you truly prepared for what's coming? The Department of Homeland Security has issued a list of 8 critical preps they urge every American to stockpile now. But the question is, are you ahead of the curve, or will you be caught unprepared? In these unpredictable times, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. So let's dive deep into what the DHS is advising and why these specific items are non-negotiable for your survival. 1. The Department of Homeland Security is really pressing on us to consider seriously water. Yep, good old H2O. It's absolutely vital for life. And when emergencies hit, having access to clean water can suddenly become a huge challenge. Now, the DHS isn't just throwing out casual advice here. They're urging every single household to have a stash of water ready to go. We're talking at least 1 gallon per person per day for a minimum of 3 days. This is for drinking and for basic sanitation needs. But let's be real, if you can manage it, aiming for a 2-week supply is a much safer bet. Let's dive into why water is so crucial. First up, staying hydrated is key to your health, especially when stress levels are high or if you're on the move during an emergency. Then there's sanitation. We often take for granted how much water we use for washing our hands, dishes, and clothes. But in a disaster, maintaining cleanliness is essential to prevent the spread of diseases, especially when regular services might be down. And don't forget about cooking. A lot of emergency food supplies like freeze-dried meals or dehydrated foods need water to prepare. Without enough water, your food options could get really limited really fast. So how do you make sure your water supply is safe? If you can, go for commercially bottled water. It's sealed, purified, and ready to go. Just keep an eye on those expiration dates and store it somewhere cool and dark. If you're filling containers yourself, make sure they're food grade and avoid anything that could break down over time, like milk cartons or glass bottles. But what if you're unsure about your water source? Knowing how to use household bleach or water perishable food for each person. But honestly, if you're able to go beyond that and stockpile a 2-week supply or even more, you're setting yourself up for a much more secure position. Here's the deal with food prepping. First, focus on non-perishable items. These are foods that can last for months or years without refrigeration. We're talking about canned goods, dry staples like rice and beans, and dehydrated or freeze-dried foods. These types of food can be a lifesaver when you can't hit the grocery store or if power outages make refrigeration impossible. Variety is key. It's not just about survival, it's about maintaining morale and health. Include a mix of proteins, fruits, vegetables, and grains. And don't forget about dietary needs or restrictions anyone in your family might have. Now, think about preparation and ease of use. In many emergency situations, you might not have access to your usual kitchen setup. So, foods that require minimal water and cooking are incredibly valuable. Also, consider investing in a camping stove or a grill as backup cooking options. But always be mindful of ventilation and safety. And here's a pro tip: rotate your food supply. Just like with water, you don't want to find out your emergency food has expired when you need it most. Keep an eye on expiration dates and use and replace items regularly to keep your stockpile fresh and safe to eat. Don't forget about comfort foods. Chocolate, tea, coffee, or whatever treats you enjoy can be a huge comfort and morale booster in stressful times. Just make sure to also manage these supplies with an eye on expiration dates and storage requirements. 3. A critical prepping item that the Department of Homeland Security urges everyone to stockpile, alongside water and food, is a well-equipped first aid kit. In any emergency or disaster, having access to basic medical supplies can be just as crucial as food and water. Here's the scoop on why a first aid.
So this new little Wi-Fi camera is taking.
In the aftermath of a disaster, immediate access to health care facilities might be compromised. A comprehensive first aid kit allows you to address minor injuries, cuts, scrapes, or even more serious conditions until professional medical help can be reached. This includes menstrual products, diapers if you have small children, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and any other personal care items that are part of your daily routine. Disinfectants and bleach for cleaning surfaces and potentially treating water. Having disinfectants and unscented bleach can be crucial for maintaining a sanitary environment. Maintaining hygiene and sanitation during an emergency is not just about comfort. It's a critical component of health and safety. Illnesses can spread rapidly in crowded conditions or when families are displaced to shelters. So
this right here was an alert that came out by the Homeland Security. I think that's kind of ironic, you know, all of a sudden this is they urging you to stockpile food and to these 8 preps that we're talking about. If you want to check it out, it's 8 preps that the Department of Homeland Security urges all citizens to do. Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. It sounds like, again, with the COVID, when they started out, and I think they're saying that because of those truckers saying they're not going to supply different states, or they all getting together and whatever they're doing to travel across the country. That would lack food for many people if they're not transporting it to those cities that needs it and those stores, and our supplies in different areas of the neighborhoods are low in food goods. So there's just an eye opener, because they're going to always kind of warn people about what's going to happen. They really don't want a disaster, a very high chaos going on at one time. So they're trying to, the ones who's going to listen, they're going to be the ones who adhere to what they're saying about those 8 things, how to, prepare themselves. But they know there's going to be some chaos going on. They're just trying to ease it in there. Something that they already prepared to happen, either this summer or late this winter.
Okay, appreciate that. Anybody else have any comments on that? Yeah, so this next video is about what we kind of talked about this morning on this morning Shabbat class, is about how these Edomites, Israelis, they relocating to Cape in South Africa. And there's something going on with that, because now they're trying to do the same thing they done in the Middle East. They're trying to disconnect. It's like a city state. They're trying to create a whole other entity within Africa that's not governed by Africa. But the people hip to it because they got away with it the first time when they did it over in the Middle East.
Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora news and join the conversation.
The name on everyone's lips today in the Western Cape, well, starting in the Western Cape, but now we can see it spreading to all the provinces banding together against this guy. The name is Phil Craig. Who is he? Let's take a look.
Edomite.
Hi, I'm making this video because it's time for us as South Africans to hear some hard truths. I've lived in South Africa for 20 years and I chose to become South African. I've never for one single day regretted that choice, because I love this country and I love its people. But one thing has frustrated me above all else, as our country falls apart around us. We don't seem to be able to find the courage to stand up for ourselves and say enough. So I'm here today to tell you enough is enough, and it's time for a revolution. My name's Phil Craig, and I'm going to be leading a new political party called the Referendum Party.
I bought 3 of these to protect my family from bed.
Phil Craig. He is an immigrant who has come to South Africa and started his own political party called the Referendum Party. Now, who is the Referendum Party? Well, the Referendum Party is a single-issue political party in South Africa established to compete in the 2024 general election. Now, also as stated, the Referendum Party does not seek to remove the DA. So they do not want to remove the DA from government in the Western Cape, but they would like to demand.
So like I said, so many people not they're not hip to how these people operate. They don't even know they exist. Most people think that Esau was done away with. When they read Obadiah, they think Esau was done away with. Well, we know the scriptures tell you when they was born, it was prophesied that Jacob grabbed the hold of Esau's heel, and that symbolized Esau, the end of this world. Jacob is the beginning of the world to come. So he can't be destroyed because he's the one that's going to be around at the end of this world. He's the one that's going to bring it in the judgment and all at the end of this age. So anyway, we see right here how they see what their situation is and their plans, how they being foiled over in the Middle East. So now they fleeing from there and they going to the Cape and they trying to reestablish themselves again over in the Cape, which is, like I said, it's in South Africa. And remember what South Africa just did to Israel, took them to court. And they had laws and charges brought up against them for genocide. This is how they operate.
The Premier to call a referendum as a coalition condition. What Volkswagen is fighting for is to have the Western Cape be removed and be seen as a country on its own. And he's calling it, this movement is calling Cape independence. And saying that, yes, all races will be welcome. It is for black, colored, Indian, whites. It is for all of us to live together in harmony. So straight from there, I went over to TikTok and everything was popping onto my feeds and just getting a feel of what people were feeling. And yes, as divided as it can be on this particular matter, most people said, so you are coming to our country to cause division again.
Right.
Now, they have started, and by they I mean us South Africans, have started a petition. And this petition is to have Volkswagen deported. Now, he is attempting to divide South Africa. That is how we see it. He wants to come and divide South Africa. And we don't need that again. We do not need that. We're already struggling with racial segregation within different cities. We do not need this divide as well. So this petition needs 25,000 signatures and it's currently standing on 24,474 signatures. You can see the seriousness of this, and you can see that many people do not stand for this. So what are some of the comments that I can say on TikTok? Now this is happening in the Western Cape. Cape Town is in the Western Cape. Durban is in KwaZulu-Natal. Joburg is in Gauteng. So it's different provinces. People from all around South Africa, from the different provinces, are saying, I live in Durban, but I'm all for South Africans coming together. I'm signing that petition right now. Now, people are saying, we as South Africa, this guy says, we as South Africa, yes, sometimes we fight each other. But if an outsider comes in and tries to divide us, we unite and we go after that person. So this thing that is supposed to cause division is causing unity, and I'm seeing a lot of unity amongst many different races in South Africa. And here is what some more South Africans, here's what they have to say about this issue.
I cannot imagine what must be going through an individual's head to believe that a majority black country would have a problem with the Cape independence movement. They fundamentally believe they'll be able to do something like that. Where in the history of independence has such a thing ever taken place without the spilling of human red sauce? Where? The fact that this British man thought he could come here take advantage of the complaints of the descendants of our colonizers in order to spread the idea that the best thing for South Africa is to separate Cape Town, the place that they arrived in 1652, and make it its own nation within South Africa. Berlin Conference 2.0. The idea that they thought they could do something like that is wild to me.
So, like I said,
The very first
notice that well, like I said, there's a lot of lack of knowledge come in. The guy that just spoke said, call him a Briton. When he was talking himself, he said he's South African, and he ain't neither one of those. He's an Edomite. And I was in a conversation with a guy. I mean, they're doing the same thing to us. Said that the slave ships came to Africa and got Africans. No, they came to Africa and got Israelites. And that's another way Esau's got us all thrown off and confused. Okay, so you have to understand that. I was talking to a guy, and he was saying that Zipporah, Moses' wife, was a Kenite. And I was telling him, I showed him in the scriptures. Well, in Genesis, Sarah died, and Abraham went and got another wife called Keturah, and she had 7 or 8 children, 7 or 8 boys. They're Abraham's children. They're Hebrews, and they went and so Jethro is a Midianite. That was one of Abraham's sons, Midian. So those Keturah, I mean not Keturah, but Moses' wife Zipporah is a Hebrew. They in the land of the Kenites, but they not Kenites. They in Canaan, just like Abraham was in Canaan, but he ain't a Canaanite. He's in the geographical location, but that has nothing to do with his genealogy. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. This is need to know information right here.
Here in the United States, we have a lot of issues. But one of those issues is a new measles outbreak that is happening right now in some major U.S. cities. Now today, I want to address why measles is happening, what experts are telling us, what doctors say is the main cause and the concern for this new measles outbreak, because we haven't seen this in decades. So I'm going to explain what's going on there, explain what you should be looking for, and what you need to be careful of. So make sure you stick around for this entire video. I'll explain exactly what is going on. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So in just 2 months, the United States has actually seen a year's worth of measles cases. That is extraordinary. Just look at this. It says America on verge of measles mayhem. Hundreds feared to be infected in California and Arizona. Outbreaks as U.S. suffers years worth of cases in 2 months. But why? Well, doctors say anti-vaxxers and Biden's open border policy are allowing the virus to spread. Here's the main thing. The open border policy is not really spreading the virus. What's happening is some of the people that are getting infected and some of these cases are ending up in migrant encampments. Well, the problem there is these encampments are so close, they're so confined. This is a very infectious disease. And if you have a vaccine, I believe it's like 97% effective. But the problem is right now, what we are facing is that if you don't have the vaccine, which many people outside of the United States don't, well, the concern is then you become potentially a carrier. And again, that's a major issue. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that just because there's a measles outbreak does not mean everyone's going to get it. In fact, just look at this. This is the U.S. measles milestone. 60 cases so far in 2024. This is more than all of 2023 combined. The concern isn't that this measles outbreak is spreading like wildfire. It's not, okay? The reason why this is concerning is because the amount of people that have decided to get to not get the vaccine. Now, I am not here to tell you go and get the vaccine. That is your choice. It's your body, your decision. Okay? All I'm here to tell you is the writing is on the wall. The studies do show that people that decided not to get the measles vaccine are more likely, a lot more likely, to go and contract this virus. But it does not mean it does not mean you don't have to worry about this. This is still an issue, and here's the reason why. It's because of the open border policy. What we know is that the CDC, their team is joining in the response to 8 measles cases in the Chicago shelter. A shelter in Chicago, just Chicago alone, has seen 8 people contract the virus. Now, again, this is a highly contagious disease, all right? But the concern is this is going to spread. Because if you come in from another country, guess what you likely don't have? You don't have health insurance. You don't have coverage. So if you do get sick or you contract the measles virus, guess what? You can't just walk into any doctor and say, hey, I got the measles. I need something. In most cases, people that are just coming into the United States or coming into the U.S. illegally, they're not going to walk into a doctor's office. They're not going to walk into an emergency room. So chances are they're going to spread the virus. They're going to be carriers. Again, that's the concern. I want to play you something, though.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody know anything about that? Or heard anything?
Shalom. I haven't heard anything about that. But it sounds like it's going to do a combination with the fruit prep and this
Did you know?
Homeland
Okay.
Security thing. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's tied to Homeland Security. Okay. Okay, so with that being said, I'll open it up for some questions. Anybody have any questions or comments from this morning or last night on a Clubhouse or during the week or doing their research? They want some clarification or you want to share something?
Shalom. No, sir, I hadn't, not just yet about that part, but I just want to back up a little bit. When he mentioned the measles outbreak, he mentioned California and Arizona at first. I didn't know there were a lot of immigrants going to California.
Yeah, that's a hotbed.
Okay.
Texas, California, New York, them hotbeds. Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Yeah,
Oh,
that's where
okay.
they going. Right, that's where they going.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Anybody else got anything they want to share or bring up? Okay, you go to needed information, then we'll get into these red apples.
Are now being worked on to make this come true. 80% of all cars being ripped off of the roads in America in the next 6 years.
Car payments are also accelerating towards record levels. The average monthly payment for a new vehicle is now more than $700 a month and more than $550 a month for a used one.
Many Americans are having trouble making the monthly payment.
Subprime borrowers were at least now 60 days late, rose by 6.1% in September. That's the highest level since 1994.
So only the top 20% of Americans will own a vehicle. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact. This has been worked on for a while. For example, only 20% of Americans will own a car in 15 years. May 4th, 2017, this is Business Insider reporting on this. By 2030, nearly no one in the U.S. may own a personal car. Instead, most Americans would hail self-driving electric ride shares to get around. Because we're walking in a world where it's the have-nots, which is 80%, and then the have-yachts, which is going to be those that have cars, that travel, freely do whatever they want, live a really, really great, amazing life. That's where we're actually going. Forbes reported that the number of passenger vehicles on American roads will go from 247 million in 2020 to 44 million in the next 6 years. Private car ownership will drop 80% by the next 6 years, right? So this is Forbes magazine reporting on this. I'm going to show you how this whole thing connects. Because maybe you have kids you have to drive to school. Maybe you have a job that requires a car for you to drive to work. Maybe you have goals, and without a vehicle, you're unable to achieve these goals. I want to show you how this is all going to work out so you can, put yourself in that 20% to keep your car. Please hit the like button, hit the like button. People share this content to help other people understand where we're really going in our economy. If you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself, what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer.
Okay, yeah, so I wanted to share that with you. They're saying that by the next 2030, it's going to be like 80% of the people not going to even have a car, right? And me looking at that, I mean, they got to bring in electric cars. That's what I see it. And they're gonna get rid. They want people to get away from the gas cars, so they're just gonna bring chaos and drama where the people can't pay their notes, and that's what they're doing. One of the reasons. Okay. So with that being said, I got a comment on that?
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Versus making the prices high on the cars and saying that in 2030 that there are going to be so many people not having cars. I believe they're doing this here transportation by trains, and they're trying to do new car rails and things like that. And it's just to limit the people. And then also with the I think it's the 10-mile or 15-mile neighborhoods or little things that they want people. They can walk so many out of their neighborhood. They can walk so far to any kind of venue, stores, shopping centers. They're building those things where every little area has a shopping center to it, where those cars are not going to be so much needed because they're putting shopping centers close to neighborhoods and impacting neighborhoods with shopping areas where they can walk to wherever they need to go.
Okay. So with that being said, nobody have anything else? We're gonna go to. We had a conversation. Matter of fact, I made a couple of videos. I had classes on how they brought those red heifers over on the plane over to Israel, and they tied to this supposedly this third temple that they have. They got the whole world food on what's supposed to be built, and so, like I said, they got their own playbook, and it's in Apple Pipe, Morals and Dogma. It's actually their prophecies, but being that we know the origins of the New Testament, they don't fit with the things that's going on. So let me play this.
And 5 red heifers. All these elements are in place for what some Jews and Gentiles believe is the key to building the third Jewish temple.
A fascinating development in Israel has piqued people's interest on a global scale. What possible effects can this startling event have on religious people? It turns out that the long-awaited red heifer, an animal thought to be integrally connected to the establishment of the Third Temple, has surreptitiously arrived in Israel after 2,000 years. Join us as we delve into how the red heifers secretly arrived in Israel to prepare the Third Temple. What exactly is a red heifer? For over 2,000 years, Israel has not had a perfect red heifer. But last autumn, 5 perfect red heifers were airlifted in from Texas by Christian ranchers who knew how important these animals would be prophetic to the return of Jesus. The Jewish priests transported them to a safe hideout and recently moved them near Shiloh, the ancient biblical site where the tabernacle was located and the Ark of the Covenant was once kept. The idea of a red heifer is first mentioned in Numbers 19:3, where God gives Moses and Aaron instructions for a ceremonial law. They are ordered to give the Israelites instructions to present a red cow that is perfect, spotless, and has never given birth or yoked. The red heifer's sacrificial burning and subsequent infusion of its ashes with concentrated water, are both described in length in the Torah. These ashes, when combined with water, cleanse those who have come into the ritual impure by touching a human corpse. The Torah goes on to describe that this purification is done twice, once 3 days after the impurity is contracted, and again 7 days later. A red heifer is presented to Eleazar, the priest, Aaron's son, and processed for its ashes to be used in this ritual. In his comprehensive compilation of Jewish law, the Mishnah Torah, Maimonides prophesied that the Messiah would bring the next red heifer in modern times. The Talmud states.
So Maimonides, I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but that's an Edomite, just like Josephus. They are rabbis. We don't see no rabbis in the Old Testament. Those are Edomites.
States that these ashes were used from that moment until the end of the first temple period. During the second temple period, 5 to 7 red heifers were similarly sacrificed for their ashes. It is believed that every Jew, even priests, carries the impurity that results from coming into contact with a dead body, even if this impurity usually has little bearing on day-to-day activities. It is forbidden for anyone with this particular defilement to enter the shrine. As a result, Kohanim, who are thus polluted, can offer the necessary rites in the temple once they have been purified using a red heifer's ashes. Producing these ashes is essential for the temple in Jerusalem to be rebuilt. The farmer who raised the cattle is a devout Christian who is intensely interested in this commandment and began breeding cattle for the trait in Texas. The heifers were located and brought to Israel with the help of the Bone Israel organization, which involved both Jews and Christians. The Red Heifer Project. A few Jewish organizations.
So let's look at that. I want to try to connect some dots. So look at the guy Abbott, the Governor Abbott over in Texas, all the drama that he bringing. You think that's a coincidence? And then they got these. That's where they're breeding the red heifers at. That's why it's so essential to understand. Like I keep talking about phenotypes, being able to identify people for who they are. It can be done if you get get the right information and stay in the scriptures, get under the right people. You can actually identify these people. But so anyway, you think it's a coincidence that all the drama that they bringing in Texas, and these red heifers came from Texas. And I want to shine a light on something else. Notice when this video first came on, I kept saying 200 years, right? So let's look. 2000. Last time they dealt with the red heifer was 2,000 years ago, right? So let's look at JC. He came on the scene 2,000 years ago, so they say. So let's look at this. I mentioned this before, but it's always good to refresh the person's mind. So we in Hosea, right? And it says, verse 6, chapter 6 of Hosea, come and let us return unto the Lord, these Israelites, our forefathers. For he have torn, he will heal us. He has smitten. All this is in Isaiah 53. It says, he has smitten, and he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day he shall raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. So 1 day with the Lord is 2,000 years. Think it's a coincidence? So this is the prophecy right here that we as Israelites need to be focused on instead of 400 years. 400-year prophecy. Okay, right here. He says, come, let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn, he will heal us, he hath smitten, he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us, and in the third day he shall raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know the Lord, not Jesus, to know the Lord. His going forth, which I've been showing you, is prepared as a morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, and as the latter and the former rain unto the earth. And that's what he commanded us when he kicked us out. He told our forefathers, in the latter days, you're going to search the scriptures out and find me. Not in what that is, 3 AD or 3 AD, 20 AD or 70 AD. He said in the latter days, you're going to search the scriptures out. Come to your senses. You're going to search the scriptures out, and then you're going to find me, because he's going to pour his spirit out on us after this prophecy of this tribulation that started in 143 BC. And in Isaiah 44, 1 through 5, he said he's going to pour his spirit out. We saw that because it's happening all over the place. Israelites waking up, but they're not understanding that it's just a phase one. Because all you find out that you're Hebrew, it's all fine and dandy, but we was kicked out of the land because we turned our back on our God. So we got to find our God in order to get out of this captivity. You got to be identified. Okay? Play a little more of this.
And Christian Zionists collaborated on the Red Heifer Project because they believed that the rebuilding of Jerusalem's third temple, which they see as a symbol of the end times and the arrival of the Messiah, requires the sacrifice of a red heifer. The Torah's book of Numbers states that anybody who comes into contact with a dead body, including priests who will serve in the temple, must be cleansed by the ashes of a red heifer. A red heifer should be pure red, defect-free, never yoked, and used as work.
Okay, so
this weird home.
You cut that one off right there. Any comments on that? Okay. Okay, so we go to the next one right here. So this is where it get interesting at. Okay.
The Hamas spokesman states the reason for attack on Israel, and the reason goes back 2,000 years.
They go to 2,000.
As if that's completely normal, and it's about cows, red cows, holy cows. Yes, we're going to break it all down right now. I'm Joshua, and this is the Israel Guys.
Okay. Get it.
As we believe in a world of anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, go ahead and subscribe. And follow us on all the social media platforms. We're out there all over the place. Go ahead and get connected. We're bringing you content. I don't think anybody else is getting content like what we've got from the ground right here. So connect to the truth of what's actually happening here. We're going back 2,500 years. 2,000 to 2,500 years ago, because Hamas did. Now, most people are thinking, wait, why is a reason for the war go back 2,000 to 2,500 years? And a spat that is actually showing up. And I'm going to play you the clip where the Hamas spokesperson in Gaza literally states the reason for the Al-Aqsa flood war, which we'll talk about that as well, literally goes back to the Jewish practice of the red heifers.
Come on.
And because Israel now has red heifers, that's actually a part of their reason for attacking. Now that is a little bit mind-blowing to a Western godless kind of world to realize the Hamas terror entity is very religious and is very worried about Israel coming back to their land as was promised by God. Now, since we're talking about this, and because Hamas is getting so religious, we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper to understand why they're being so religious about something the rest of the world has no clue about. Like, so what? Israel brought some cows over to Israel, and you're going to have a war with them because they brought a couple red little cows to Israel. Like,
so this is what they do. First of all, like I said, you don't know what the hell going on, but they dead on it. They dead on it. They got those red heifers. I got this next video I'm going to play. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Literally, that's what the Western world looks at this through the lens of, you can have cows, it's okay. not Hamas. The Hamas entity literally is full-fledged into war, and the cows actually have a lot to do with it, which is insane. But let's look at this. There's some ancient Jewish writing, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute, but let's just look at it like that. There's this guy, Sam Ballot. Let's read it right out. He says, when Sam Ballot heard that they were building the wall and he was furious and very indignant and mocked the Jews. This goes all the way back 2,500 years ago between the spat between Jews and Arabs back then. Okay. And he spoke before the brethren and the army of Samaria, where I'm actually sitting right now, and said, what are these feeble Jews doing? Will they fortify themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Literally, that's what he says all the way back 2,500 years ago. And today, the Hamas spokesperson is literally saying exactly the same thing. Here we are. Same folks, same kind of situation, worried about Jews coming back and building in their ancient homeland, and specifically that they're going to sacrifice to God is their big, big worry. We're going to take a look at this clip real quick. Here we go. Let's take it.
عدوان بلغ أقصى مداه على مصرانا وأقصانا وبدأ تقسيمه الزماني والمكاني فعلا.
10 seconds. That's all the time you have to find shelter.
وأحضرت البقرات الحمر تطبيقا لخرافة دينية مقيتة مصممة للعدوان على مشاعر أمة كاملة في قلب عروبتها ومسرى نبيها ومعراجه إلى السماء.
All right, that was Abu Obaida, the Hamas spokesperson. Now, literally, this doesn't make any sense, but what he just said, you just saw it on the screen. The reason for this war was the bringing in of the red cows, as he said. Like, literally, guys, I'm telling you, this was his 100-day speech to the Arab world that is supporting him. He has to give the best rallying speech to his troops about why their war on Israel is significant and encourage them. And guys, this is mentioned within the first 2 minutes of his speech to the soldiers, being one of the number one reasons why the Hamas spokesperson believes that their war on Israel is legitimate and just and should happen. And the way they're doing it, he, as their spokesman, believes that it should be done this way. And his argument is that Israel deserves this because they brought red cows. And this is detestable, as you saw on the screen earlier. It's a religious myth of the Jews. That's also quoted in his speech.
Okay, I'm gonna cut that off. Anybody got comments on that? We're going somewhere. Okay. Any comments? Anybody know anything about the red apples?
Shalom. No, I've heard about it through our discussions, and I saw when they did show it on television, they're bringing the red heifers over there, and my question would be, who would be the priest to do this so-called sacrifice, and far as them building the altar for it, they don't have the original things that was mentioned in the Old Testament that you need to have.
Right. Yeah, well, if you go back and check out those previous videos, classes I did, they came out and they showed the priests. They already have all the furniture. They got duplicates, replicas, and they got all the priests that came out. I think it was this time last year. They showed all the priests and all that's in place. So like the Palestinian dude said, they've been there. These nutbuggers just came in 1948, so they've been there. So they know the lay of the land. So, like he said, if they got, it's a 3-year period. Once they already showed the whole world, they found some red heifers through these people over in Texas, and they flew them over there. Well, it's a time period. He tells you in Leviticus, between 2 to 3 years old. You gotta sacrifice those that red heifer between 2 or 3 years. So it's down there already 3 years now. It's in that time period. So they can't just jump up and start sacrificing them. They're setting the stage. That's what this whole Hamas and war and all this all about, like he said. But this nut bucket don't know what he's talking about. It don't seem like nobody else do. So anyway, now we're gonna look at this. We gotta understand it. It's how close we are.
Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I finally got that piece of information that I've been looking for.
Here we go.
I'm wondering, when is it that they would sacrifice the red heifer? If you don't know anything about this, just a quick recap. Okay, so the Jews. There's some of them that want to build the temple as soon as possible. But it doesn't really matter. They can't, even if they were to build the temple right now, if there was no issues, if they built the temple, they wouldn't be able to actually do any service in the temple, because in Judaism, they look to the book of Numbers, which says that you have to have a red heifer in order to purify the Jewish nation from uncleanliness, from contact with the dead body. All Jews are considered ritually impure, since it's not really possible to know, with each individual, have you had contact with the dead body and other things, right? And so, basically, there's been all these efforts to produce a red heifer so that they can get the ashes, so that they can purify the priests as well as the Jewish people. And that's the only thing that's really stopping them from actually performing the temple service, other than being able to construct the temple itself on the Temple Mount. So it's a big deal if they're able to get these ashes. And so they've been working really hard at it. They produced some red heifers, and so far they're looking pretty good. And the last that I checked, and this is the most recent information that I have these groups of red heifers. Like we have these 5 right here. We have some that were mentioned here. I don't know how many. And then we have this one. And according to these different sources that I have, this is when, in green right here, this is when they'll turn 2 years old. 2 years old in 1 day. And then they can be used for their ashes. So the first one would have been in September. The next ones would be November through January. And then the last one, or ones, I don't know how many there are, would be ready in April sometime. So the question has been, for me, when would they do it? I hadn't seen anything. Although some people...
So what they got coming in April, they got the clips coming in April. Let that find out.
In the comments had said, oh, it's going to be at Passover, but I wasn't able to find anything to substantiate that. Well, thanks to Tammy Christensen, she provided me with that source. Hey, Jared, this is a part. There's a part in this article that talks about the sacrifice being planned for Passover 2024, and then there's a quote from the article, and then a YouTube video. And the article basically gets its information from this YouTube video, which is, you may have come across these guys before, CBN News. It's like a Christian news channel, essentially. And I'll put the link for this video in the description box below. But here you have it. So this is Rabbi Yitzhak Mamo. And I guess he's the one that owns the land where the sacrifice would take place. It has to be at a particular spot on the Mount of Olives. It has to be within sight of where the Holy of Holies would be, and he owns it. And let's see, let's do Control F. Let's do Passover. And here it is. Stinson says they plan to invite everyone to the red heifer ceremony that may take place in Passover 2024. Everything is in place, down to the red heifers. As long as they stay pure, one of them stays pure, then we have everything in place, including the priests, Mama says. So they are planning it for Passover. as long as nothing changes with these red heifers.
Passover in April, the 19th. So check this out. I mean,
so
22nd, and that I think the eclipse is like 3 or 4 days for that.
Passover, if we go to the Hebrew calendar, hepacal.com, which shows you our calendar and their calendar together. Passover is going to be, it's going to start the evening of the 22nd of April and then go until the evening of the 30th of April. Okay?
7 days.
It didn't specify in the video what day it would be, but it would be sometime during this week. Okay? Pesach. So that's good to know. There's a lot of things that are kind of closing in on April. They're converging on April. I have more to talk about with the red heifer, but let's remind ourselves really quick, or if you're new, you may not know these things. There's a lot of interesting things that are pointing to April.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that the second coming is going to happen in April, but I have no explanation. I don't know. We'll just wait and see.
So if you want to check that out, all of it, you can take name of the video. It's scheduled for Passover 2024, countdown to April. That's the name of the video. So anybody have any comments on that? Any feedback?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. In the book of Numbers, did it mention anything about how many days? I thought it said something like sprinkle it 7 times or something like that.
No,
like it didn't mention. Sir?
It's Passover. It's Passover.
Okay.
It's totally. It's like
totally different from the red heifers.
Right. Well, the red heifers are tied to the Passover, but it's tied. It's something else going on because it's like you got those 3 feast days I told you about. What David always talking about in the Psalms. It's a high holy day, so it's like just like for example, they would I think it's the week of boots. So like right here, the week of boots means 6 days and then a Shabbat. And so right here, after they sacrifice this red heifer, they gotta burn it. What they need is the ashes. To sprinkle the ashes. That's what they need, the ashes. But like you said, it's a timeline. You got to be a certain amount of years old. Let's look at it right quick.
Okay.
So you go to Genesis 15. Genesis chapter 15. Right? And then Moses doing sacrifice right here. It says in Genesis 15, and he said, the Lord talking to Abraham, and he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee up out of the Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know inherit it? So he told him, and he said unto him, take me a heifer, 3 years old. See that? Right? And a she-goat, 3 years old, and a ram, 3 years old, and a turtle dove and a pigeon. They have to be 3 years old. So they got to do this. They got to do this before these animals pass 3 years old, or they not worth it. Yeah, they ain't no good. They let them get them past 3 years old, and then they're supposed to don't supposed to have no spot or blemish. But we know these Edomites, Nehemiah and Josiah and all them. Nehemiah and Joshua told, and Zerubbabel told them when they tried to help them when they came back from Babylon, you don't have nothing to do with this. You ain't have nothing to do with our God, nothing to do with our temple or this land. So that's all bullshit. I'm just gonna call it. That's what it is. And the only reason I can say that is I'm in the scriptures. Most High done woke me up. So you can't challenge that if you don't know nothing about it. You can be thrown off like this clown that was just talking. He had no clue what he's talking about. So, but anyway, like I said, looking at and I'm not trying to predict nothing or nothing. I'm just showing you how Look at the things that's happening in the world, and it's like they're accelerating. And look what's going on. We don't understand that they already got plans to do this sacrifice in April. They got a solar eclipse coming in April. All this stuff happening is culminating.
Right.
You sitting there ignorant to it. We ignorant to it, but it's been prophesied already. Okay. Yeah. So anybody else got anything? Like I said, that last video was he got a lot of other information in there, but like I said, these people they copycats. Whereas the Lord of Hosts and our forefathers and all them, they dealt with numbers like 7 and all that. They dealing with these numbers, but ain't no weight on it. Because they using it like we read sin. You got sin on you. You ain't no Israelite, so none of that's working. You know, and we see that the Creator then took his hand off of them. He told us in Deuteronomy that he was going just like he looked over us to prosper us. And we see all the wealth that Abraham had and David and Solomon and all them had, but he turned that. And he said, just like I looked over you to prosper you, for the last 2,000 years, he's been looking over us to bring us to naught. But we can see now that that's turning. Because everything they do is wrong. Now all of a sudden, everything they do wrong. What they did with this Hamas war, it turned on them. What they're trying to do right here, everything turning on them because of the Most High to turn the face back to us. And now the prophecy about him dealing with them is what's going on. You know, we're looking at it. We're looking at Israelites around the world starting to rise up, starting to get that courage that our forefathers had. Okay.
Right. And there's, they just think they can do anything, but I'm just saying there's no way that they can, adopt the laws and statutes and commandments and the practices of the Hebrew Israelites when it's not meant for you. So you just have to try to, imitate that by doing the best that you can do. And I think that is happening because, like you said, that it's like they're picking and choosing. They know that they got to do certain things by a certain timeline, but still they're not doing it correctly according to the scriptures. They're also putting their twist on it and thinking that it's going to be okay.
Right. So you got to go back to the 2,000 years when he said he's working against us. So whatever they came up with, he went along with it. That's why it looked like it was good. That's what they all messed up at today, because everything they've been doing, it was good. But now he ain't going along with it no more.
Right.
That's what the drama coming in at. They looking at it now. Everything, the dumb shit you did in the past, you got away with it because the Most High was against us. He had prophecies on us. And now they trying to do the same thing, but it ain't working no more. That's what that is. And the more they do, and the worse they look, the more ignorant they get. They come up with more and more misdiagnosis. Because the Most High is through with that. That's over. He said 2,000 years. And like I said, not 400. Because of what you read in Genesis chapter 15 is in Egypt. It's not, it ain't 400 years tied to. It's 2,000 years. That's the plumb line. From the time the tribulation started in 143 BC till whenever these 2,000 years is up. Evidently, we close to it, but it wasn't 2019. Because we still looking at all the oppression and all the dumb shit they doing, and they getting away with it. When the Most High make a prophecy, he said 70 years when they came out of Babylon. At 70 years, he shut it down. And he says that the prophecy of the captivity in Egypt was, he said, the self-same day. That night they came out. It wasn't no, the prophecy came to pass, and then you started waiting and looking for what's going to happen. No, the date he said, the exact number, if it's 70 years, that's when we coming out. So it was 2019 is what they concocted, but we in 2023, 4 years later. Okay? Black folks the one that's always late. The Lord of hosts ain't late. Come on. So,
right.
Anybody got any comments on it? So that's like I said, that's a spit in the Most High face right there. But who knows to even continue with that? And it goes back to, like I said before, he said what they doing. They all of a sudden they said they got the priests. Well, let's look at it. Ain't that what the Most High did? That's how you operate with his priests. Everybody that's waking up ain't no damn priest or no Levite. So it says in Ezra, right? He says, Ezra gave the commandment of Daniel 9:25. He says, this Ezra 1:1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, put it in writing, saying, thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven, hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. Who is there among you of all his people? So it's all his people. That's Zebulun, Gad, all of them. He says, of all his people, right? His God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, and build the house of the Lord God in Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. Now here go the separation, like I said. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourned, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, besides the freewill offering for the house of God, which is in Jerusalem. So this is what the Lord of hosts gave to Cyrus. And Cyrus gave it to the Israelites. It did what the Lord said. Now here go the separation. 5. Then rose up the chief fathers of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, with all them whose spirit God had raised to go up to Jerusalem. So that's separation right there. He don't change. So the same thing happening now. He raising up the Levites and the priests. Men wonder that. Men that when the word comes, they grab hold to it. They don't fumble with it. And we just read what Abraham told Jacob, stay away from these Gentiles. They don't know shit about my word. It's not in them to understand my word. So that's where we at. And guess what? These Negroes go through the same thing they doing. The priests and the Levites, they're gonna be against them. Same way they was against Jeremiah. And like I said, he know what he's doing. He know exactly what he's doing. He know who he's raising up. Because like I say, when nut bucket come around me, I don't give a damn. Simple as that. I know the mission that the Lord host got me on. So I'm not trying to get no views. I'm putting out seeds for those Israelites that's got the Israelite blood in them to receive it. It ain't for the nut buckets.
All praises.
That's what this is about. Oh yeah. So with that being said, anybody got any comments, questions before we go? We closing out the Shabbat.
Shalom. Just thank.
What's up with you, James? And coffee? What you say? Okay. Nobody have anything else? Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom to everybody. And we got that little clubhouse thing on Sundays at 1 o'clock Central Time. So if you want to check that out or not, we'll be back on Tuesday for our advanced Bible study from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on YouTube. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.